Hello everyone, welcome to the day 14 of the Identity Foundation series. So now we'll be talking about Mandatory Access Control and DAC, Discretionary Access Control. So here we'll be talking about the overview of Mandatory Access Control, where we use them, what are the different principles, the mechanism, strength, weakness, and some of the common use cases. So to begin with, let's talk about DAC. Discretionary access control is an access control model where resource owners have the discretion to decide. They have the ability to decide and the authority to decide, right, who can access their resource. One of the common example is you work in different organizations, right? Every organization you will either be using SharePoint or you will be using OneDrive, okay, or the Google Drive that you're using on a personal level. There you can actually decide whom you are sharing the access, what level, edit, read only, modify, okay, and whom it should be given the access to. So this model is based on the principle of need to know, because you can grant or deny access based on the user groups. But the enforcement of that principle is left to the discretion of the owner. You will be the one who will be deciding what level of access is required, whether you require read only or you require edit or you want to give that permission. So we'll jump into the principle of DAC. So the first principle is ownership. Every resource has an owner. Typically, the owner will always be the user. Discretion is the authority to grant or deny the access to the resource. An access control list, ACL, is the list of permissions often managed through ACLs which specifies which users or groups have what type of access. For example, you'll have a list of users, Ravi, Ramesh, right? Vikas, okay, and read access or edit or modify, whichever level of access you will see, you will see them here. This is what is inside an ACL. Okay. Then the principles we can discuss first is ownership, discretion, and the list. Eventually, all three comprises and creates an effective access control model. Now, mechanism. The first we discussed about the ACLs are the most common mechanism for implementing the DAC. That you identify a list of users, give them the level of access, put them in an ACL and give them. The other mechanism is permissions. Permissions define the type of access that is allowed, like read, write, execute, delete. And groups is where people are grouped together. Okay, they're grouped together here, and permissions can be granted to this group only. And all of this is maintained inside the ACL. Okay, that I think that makes sense. So foundation of DAC is groups. To summarize this, the foundation of DAC is group, access control list, and permissions. Group simplifies access management by granting permissions to user group, and the permissions defines the type of access they have, and access control is specifying the access rights for these users and groups. What are the strengths of DAC? The first, DAC is highly flexible, allowing owners to grant or revoke access easily as you do in the OneDrive. You give access, if you don't want to revoke them access, right? Easy implementation because it's basically already available in all the folder structure. And user control is also pretty good because you are now able to control, you have control over your own resources, kind of giving you a sense of ownership. But yes, there is a security risk, which is definitely there are Trojan horses privileges. Sometimes people may dump some file and gets transferred, right? If the user account is compromised, an attacker can definitely gain access to all the resources owned by that user. The second one is lack of centralized control. DAC lacks centralized control, making it difficult to enforce consistent security policies across the system. Because one user will have their own set of policies. For example, I am shared 5 different files, okay, or 2 different files, and eventually I am the user. So here I may have edit, decided by user 1, and here I will have read decided by user 2. Both the cases, like it's not like centrally managed. Anyways, the purpose is also not, but this is also one of the lack. And then potential, because of all of this, there are potential for abuse. Users may grant excessive permissions, leading to unintended access and potential security breaches. Eventually, whatever we are doing, we are just trying to protect the security of the organization. Then some of the common use cases, you have the personal computers, file sharing database that we just discussed. Now we'll quickly move into the MAC world. Okay. Mandatory access control is an access control model where access decisions are based on system-wide policies rather than discretion. In MAC, every resource and every user is assigned a security label, and access is granted only if the security label of the user matches or dominates the security label of the resource. This model is often used in high security environments where confidentiality and integrity are paramount. First, security labels. Every resource, every user is assigned a security label which represents its sensitivity. For example, you'll have sometimes, if you remember, you'll be sending an email or you'll be receiving a document which is confidential, right? So definitely a certain labeling is done. You have confidential, right? And you have internal, right? So internal, and then you have public. The public is anyone will be able to have that access. Internal is only for employees. Okay, confidential is within employees, certain set of category of users. That is how you have to define the kind of the mandatory access control. Yeah. Then it is a centralized control. Now here users are not defining. There is a policy, and that's where it is managed. And the mechanism, first labeling is really important here. You have secret, confidential, unclassified. Usually you would have seen this in movies and some of the government areas. Then clearance, to get access to those systems, there is a high level of clearance. And then rules define the condition under which that access is granted or denied. And then only based on the label and the clearance you get access. As I was talking, common use cases government and high security environments like financial institution, healthcare organization. It's not like everyone gets access to every information. In every organization, you'll have some way or the other MAC implemented for classified documentations. So both DAC and MAC are important access control with their own strengths and weakness. DAC is more flexible on a user level. MAC is more on the organization level. It has a centralized policy management. DAC is more flexible and there is nothing on the centralized level. User can manage it on their own. So this summarizes the day 14 of the Identity Foundation. I'll see you in day 15. Thank you very much.